Today's video, we're talking all about that annoying anterior shoulder pain that you can feel with pressing overhead, horizontal, or even rowing. Now, the direct causes can be different for everybody. Maybe it was a traumatic injury where you're benching and something snapped and now you have a tear or a partial labrum tear. It could be a more chronic issue that you just had for a long time where just all this gets sore for whatever reason. Maybe you sleep wrong and you notice that this gets really sore or achy and tired, and the list goes on and on and on as to the potential causes. Now, without diving too deep into how pain actually works and some of the many factors that can influence it, let's all just agree that movement is one of the best ways that you can reduce pain as well as regain function and overall confidence in your abilities and gain strength. And so how we can go about utilizing movement is by assessing the shoulder itself and seeing potentially what is most limited. And because that area may be limited, that could be one of the many reasons as to why you're having this pain, or just, hey, let's improve this range of motion, give your body some confidence back, give it back an ability versus it constantly wanting to protect itself. And maybe that's enough to calm the nervous system down and relieve some of this pain and discomfort. So in the rest of this video, we'll cover some specific tests that I have found to be helpful once you improve them in reducing some of this pain and discomfort at the shoulder, as well as 3 exercises that I think will be most beneficial. So if you like what you hear so far, you agree with this approach, definitely like and subscribe to the video. Check out the WAFit app down in the description, free 7-day trial, which has access to all of my programs. And without further ado, let's get into the testing. So the main tests I utilize to improve someone's shoulder mobility as a way to improve some of their symptoms is a shoulder extension and a shoulder external rotation test. These are frankly the most simple of exercises, and I like to give these to my clients so that way they can, assess themselves and see their own improvements, which can help along that path or that journey of reducing some of their symptoms. It gives them back that sense of control that unfortunately can be lost when it feels like we're just always in this state of pain or discomfort, or we don't even know why we're in pain or discomfort or what the main triggers are. So the first test we'll discuss is shoulder external rotation, as it's the easiest and it typically has the least amount of compensations to watch for. And then we'll get into the shoulder extension test and some of the compensations to watch out for in that one as well. So for the external rotation test, you're going to want to lay on the floor. You can film yourself doing this or just watch with your own eyes sort of what happens with the test itself. So whichever side you're having discomfort on, I still suggest testing both sides just to see sort of what's going on. I'm gonna lay back, put my shoulder down at 90 degrees, and then I wanna have my feet flat on the floor, back nice and flat. This elbow needs to be in alignment with my shoulder. Oftentimes people will put it too low or they'll put it way too high, and that'll affect the test. So as I'm laying here, all I'm then going to do is go into external rotation, and I just want to let it flop. Let it go back as far as it can, and you're not actively pushing into the test. Oftentimes, most people can push into it and it'll look like it's passing, but we want to see how your body is able to relax. Is it able to let go and let essentially the joint just function the way it needs to when everything is supposed to be relaxed, more parasympathetic. So as you let it go, it should be able to flop just like you're seeing right here. Now, if you're not able to get the back of the hand to the floor completely relaxed, you got some stuff to work on, right? This is good and bad news. The good news is that you now have a test that you can improve upon. You have a variable that you can now control again. And it may or may not improve your symptoms. Really, you just have something to at least work toward. The bad news is that you have tension and you have some limitations that you need to work on. Once you have completed this test on one side, definitely check the other. Again, just to see if maybe you have the same kind of limitations or more limitations on the opposite side. As a quick note, oftentimes the side that we're having pain on is more of a cry for help in many instances. It's overworked. It is the victim side. It's the squeaky wheel. Whereas the opposite side, more often than not when I test my clients, that's the side that actually needs the most mobility. So think if I'm benching and I have a right side that's hurt, but a left side that is immobile and doesn't work as much, well, I'm probably gonna deviate away from this side that doesn't move as well. Whereas the side that does move, guess what? It gets to do the rest of the work that the opposite side cannot do. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully that resonates with you a little bit. Your body is not the enemy. The area of pain is not the enemy. It's often the victim. With that being said, let's get into the shoulder extension test. So our shoulder external rotation test was primarily looking at some of the tension that can happen around the shoulder blade or the upper back area. The shoulder extension test, it actually is looking at how tight things are on the anterior chest wall. So around the pecs, subclavius, anterior delt, all of those types of muscles. So we're gonna set up from a side view, super easy. You're going to rotate your thumb backwards. And then from here, you're going to want to reach back behind you and see if we can get to about 45 degrees, if not more. Now, what I'll do for my clients and to tell them, hey, here's a way to like test this yourself, is I'll take the opposite hand and put it on the shoulder. So before you turn your thumb, you take this hand, put it on the shoulder just like so. And this way you can feel if your shoulder wants to round or hike up as you're going back into the test. You want to stop the test if you feel any of this happening. That said, a little bit is okay and normal. It's when we're really feeling those big shifts or orientations that we're watching out for. So we'll go through the test. Again, hand on the shoulder, turn your thumb backwards. Most people, and when they're having some issues, they'll get to here and they're already gonna feel this kind of push forward. You'll see their chest will disappear behind the anterior delt or the front of the shoulder. If that's happening, you probably want to stop the test. Again, you have something to improve upon. If we can get past that point, fantastic. Now we're going to go and see how far back can we come into this movement. So you can see I get to about 45 degrees. Yes, there is a little bit of rounding here to be expected, but we don't see that disappearance of my chest as I get to that point. Obviously, if I angle into it, yeah, it's gonna disappear, but from side view, we just don't wanna see that disappear too much. The other thing that you would stop this with is if you feel that shoulder hiking up or trap really kicking on as you come back. So you'll see this kind of elevation happen. People get stuck and they come up, which is an indicator that your shoulder's not doing the work, your trap and these other muscles and joints are trying to help out a bit. So those are the two things to watch out for this test. Come back, watch for anterior rounding, which you can feel. Watch for shoulder hiking as you go. The very last thing to watch out for would be your elbow bending as you come back. So this can be a bit more of a complex test and something to watch out for, but similar to as we did in the shoulder external rotation, you really just want to stop when your body is saying, hey, pump the brakes. Here's the tension. Here's what we're comfortable with. So as soon as I round, if I'm already feeling like a lot of tension, your body's probably telling you something. If you start to move back into it and you hit this point of like, ooh, like that's tense. There's something in the way. My body doesn't want to stretch this stuff out. You probably would end up stopping there anyways, and everything after that's going to be those weird compensations we're talking about. Just go as far as you can until your body finally says, hey, like that's your end point. Like I can't go any further past this. This is all I have, right? If I go any further, it's gonna be accompanied by some of those compensations. So that concludes the testing component of anterior shoulder pain. Improving these will not always make your pain just disappear completely. We're talking about, hey, give your body some control, give it some range of motion back, improve upon something that can be improved. Here's a variable, here's a factor that you now have control over. Even if this doesn't improve your pain, at least your shoulder is now functioning better. It's moving more independently, more relative to other joints in the body. It's able to actually do its job, and you can at least then train it to some degree without all these weird kind of compensations kicking in. So now we're gonna jump into the 3 exercises that I have found to be most effective for improving these ranges of motion. And we're gonna cover the whole kind of spectrum of this. So I wanna cover a corrective exercise that I find to be very, very helpful. It's a breathing exercise. And then we'll get up to some lifting movements that hopefully you can use in warm-up settings at the gym or at home, just trying to make this feel a little better. So the first exercise we're going to use is simply a lat hang stretch, or a lat stretch that you could do on a squat rack or in a doorway. So I'm giving you two whole options with this. This is utilizing a traction effect at the shoulder. So we're trying to both improve the stretchiness, the flexibility of the musculature at the front of the chest, as well as behind the shoulder blade. So we can go about that with just traction. Get this arm away from you, relax into it, breathe, let the body feel some space come back, and then we'll be loading it with the other two exercises. So to do this, all you need is a pull-up bar just like so. If you don't have the setup, that's completely fine. I'll show you another variation you can do on one side or another. So I'm then going to grab a hold, get my feet out in front of me just slightly, so that way I have some space to pull myself into it. So I'll start here, my hips are directly underneath me, and I'm already starting to feel a good amount of stretch in my shoulders. The more narrow I come, the more stretch I'm gonna get. The wider I go, the easier it's gonna be. I will say, this movement is not for the faint of heart. It is pretty stinking intense, and just gently hanging without even adding anything else to it, it's gonna feel like you're pulling meat off the bone. Not a bad thing. Your shoulders are resilient, your body is resilient, it can tolerate your own body weight, but it may be something you need to work up to. And so you may wanna use that second variation I'll show you. So as I'm here, all I'm gonna do is gently pull myself forward. I dig my heels in and use my hamstrings, almost like a little hamstring curl, and I just come to this point. Now as I'm here, I'm again just sinking into my shoulder blades, I lift my chin, and then I'm just gonna take 5 big deep breaths. So I fully exhale, feel my ribs come back to my spine, and then a slow silent inhale through the nose. Exhale. Pause for a couple seconds, slow inhale through the nose. If this is pretty easy for you, then you can challenge yourself by, instead of going to pronated grip, going supinated. So your palms will be facing back toward you. This will give you way more of a stretch in around the shoulder blade area and may actually be more helpful in that external rotation test. So again, I grab a hold here, set up, pull myself slightly forward, and take some deep breaths. Pause, slow, silent inhale. That easy. I say it's easy. It's pretty stinking intense and it will definitely potentially be a little bit painful in some ways, but in a good way, right? Like you're feeling the stretch, you're feeling all this open up, which can be very, very nice. Like I said, work your way up to this. If you don't have access to a pull-up bar, either at the gym or at your home, completely fine. You do this on one side or the other. So what I'll have people do is just grab a hold of a doorway, grab a hold of a squat rack, and then you're gonna take a staggered stance, one foot back, the other foot forward, and then you're just gonna sink your hips back and into it. I'm then gonna create a bit of a stretch, and I just back myself up a little bit, and I can create that same sort of traction sensation I got here, just again with the doorway on one side. So I grab a hold, I'm gonna put my weight in my back foot, hold it there, and then I'm gonna take 5 big deep breaths. Exhale, feel the rib pull back and in toward the spine. Pause, and then a slow silent inhale through the nose. Exhale, pause for a couple of seconds, and then a slow silent inhale. And it's really that simple. So you would do this on both sides or focus more on the side that is most limited in the external or extension test that we did earlier. This is a nice segue into saying test. Make sure you test in between sets of these exercises or after the entire completion of, like, say, this series of exercises. So I just did a set here. I could then, as I'm resting, just come over here and go into my shoulder extension test. Boom, like that feels much, much better. I'm rounding less, I have less hiking. That is again a confirmation. Pain is so ambiguous at times. And again, it just can feel like you have no control. So testing and seeing an improvement after you do something like this can be very empowering and help you feel like, hey, I have some control over my body again. Like, I want to do this more. Like, it not only feels better, but it's moving better. Let's keep going. Let's hit another set. right? It can be very, very motivating. So that is exercise number 1 out of the way. Let's get into exercise number 2. So exercise number 2, you're going to need a foam roller. So this is gonna go down to your side, and then you can use a weight. Again, if you don't have a set of dumbbells, kettlebell, anything like that, fill up the heaviest water bottle you got and use that as weight, and that can start to help you out. So I'm gonna take this dumbbell, put it in my hand, and then I'm gonna put my lat kind of aligning the center of my chest here, right? I'm gonna put my arm out to the side, straight ahead, and I'm already gonna be feeling quite a bit of pressure that is on my lat. That's a good thing. We're trying to get some of these muscles to open up. We're trying to influence the rib cage a little bit to create some expansion, some stretching. Again, space, that is what we're going for. Notice that my lower body, I'm at a 90-degree angle at my knees as well as my hips. This is gonna keep you from extending your spine, right? Don't do that here. You don't wanna just be all opened up because you're not gonna be using your shoulders as well as you think you are. So pack yourself in, get nice and tight, get everything in here at 90 degrees, and then you're gonna lift this weight up to the ceiling. Now, what this weight does is it adds additional pressure into my lat. So once you lift this up, it might hurt a little bit more, right? Hopefully not your shoulder. Again, if any of these exercises hurt your shoulder, stop, don't do them. If you're feeling it in your lat, and you're like, oh my gosh, that is intense, but it feels kind of good, you're in the right place. So all I'm gonna do is just reach up, reach up, reach up to the ceiling, and then I want you to inhale, rotate your palm up, rotate your head toward the weight, exhale, head looks forward, palm faces down toward my hip down here. And then I'm just gonna complete that a couple of times. I'll inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. You're gonna complete 8 to 10 of those rotations on each side. Now, you might think, okay, the side that's most affected, right, that's most limited or painful or whatever it is, I need to have that one doing the rotations. Not necessarily. I want that side on the foam roller. That's the one that will give you the most change as well as hopefully the most relief. That said, you still want to do this on both sides. Do not just hit one side and leave it. Hit both sides, get both sides moving, get both sides mobile and strong to some degree. Again, the lat hang set us up to get some space in there. This is also giving us space, but we're now introducing load, so that way we can again start to control another variable. We're adding strength, we're adding weight to these movements to try to rebuild that confidence in the body, in the shoulder, and show, hey, we're strong, we're resilient, we can handle this. So that is exercise number 2. Let's get into exercise number 3. So exercise number 3 is going to be a shoulder press exercise. Now this is one to watch out for, and if you don't feel you're ready for it, don't do it. Focus on the first 2. They'll probably be your best friends for a while. But this is something that'll start to get you back to pressing in the gym and can be used as a nice warm-up, if not something you can load for a little bit longer. So I'll show you from 2 different views. You're gonna take a foam roller, put it up against the wall, just like so. Get your foot on top to where your foot is flat on the wall, but it's kind of digging down into that foam roller. You're then going to come back onto your back, get a dumbbell, reach it to the ceiling, and then what you want to do is connect your elbow to your knee. Now notice my head comes up. Don't let that happen. If this is you, put something underneath your head and your neck, and that will help increase some range of motion and just relaxation overall. Now what I'm doing is I'm limiting essentially the extension that can happen with my rib cage, and that's going to essentially just lock in what is going to be just my shoulder moving. Nothing else can help. We've already created space here, so now we want to use it to its maximum ability, okay? So connect elbow to knee, maintain that position, and then we're simply going to press. So elbow comes down to the floor, and then you're going to press up. That's 1, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. Now to show you on the other side, just so you have another view, again, I set up just like so, elbow to knee, and then I'm going to come down and press, down and press. Now you can sequence some breathing with this. So as I come down, I inhale and I exhale as I come up. That's getting into the nitty gritty a bit,
but it is something you could leverage or utilize. Now I'll show you one more time from this superior angle. So elbow comes to knee, just like so. And then again, I'm going to press. Notice how my elbow comes out at about a 45-degree angle, and then I press up to the ceiling. And it's not just like a wimpy little press. I'm reaching up to the ceiling the whole time, and then coming back down, and then reach, and my shoulder comes up. Down, inhale, exhale, finish the job. So that is exercise number 3 in this series for anterior shoulder pain. Now, after you're done completing all of these exercises, say you do them for the recommended reps, which I will have down in the description, you then again want to retest. So you want to get on the floor after you do everything. Check your shoulder extension. Does it flop? Yes or no? If it does, guess what? You have a series of movements that will help improve something at the shoulder versus you suffering for no reason with pain and not understanding why, you're having it essentially. You would also then stand up, do your shoulder extension test. Just make sure that you're seeing improvements in this. I can't tell you how many people get into the comments and are like, will this fix me? Will this do this? Will this do that? And it's like, I don't know. I've never seen you in person. I've never seen your measurements. I've never seen any of this stuff on you. You're just a comment in here. And as much as I want to help them, they have to help themselves in some ways. So that's why I talk about this testing, because this is my way of telling you guys, hey, here's how you help yourself. Check your range of motion. If it doesn't improve, don't do these exercises. They're not here to help you. Or maybe you need to troubleshoot it, schedule a call with me or something. But that said, be objective. Make sure that you're actually seeing improvements in the range of motion. And hopefully down the road or in the next couple of days, we'll start to see a reduction in your pain overall. So I hope this video helps you out. I hope this with your anterior shoulder pain gets you back to lifting in the gym, gets you back to bench pressing or whatever the heck it is that you want to be doing. Again, be sure to check out the WaFit app, 7 programs, free 7-day trial. That link is down in the description. Like, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next one.